going on, Plastic Addicts? We're back here at the desk. It's a little windy in Texas right now. I tried to play around earlier. I played one. It was really bad. It was super windy. We'll talk a little bit about discs. We'll nerd out a little bit about discs. We'll be some Plastic Addicts. And we're going to talk about our top 5 most overhyped discs and our top 5 most Wait, did I already say that?
You said over.
We're also going to do our top 5 most underhyped discs. All right, we'll get right into it. We each have 5 overhyped, 5 underhyped. We don't know what each of those are yet. I have some that might be hot takes, so we'll get genuine reactions today. We'll discuss a little bit.
The reason we went with overhyped and underhyped versus overrated and underrated is we just had a little discussion where we're sitting there thinking, there's thousands of discs. Are there discs that we believe are overrated and we believe are underrated? Yes, but somebody out there, a lot of people, especially the ones that I'm about to talk about, a lot of people love them. A lot of people throw them. They're just not my cup of tea. So I would not necessarily call a disc overrated or underrated. It really depends on the person throwing the disc. So I think the ones that we picked out for these two, I think people can understand why we will put them in that category.
Yeah. Overhyped, underhyped, not same thing, but similar.
Yeah, similar.
Similar.
Same, but different.
Yeah, the disc might not be bad or anything, but you'll see. We'll get into it. We'll explain why.
All right.
All right, you go first with overhyped.
All right, I'm going to start off with a new one, semi-new, but it's been all the rage and you see it all over the place. I'm going to go with the Innova Rollo. I'm not saying it's a bad disc. It is ridiculously flippy. It's a fun disc to have in your bag if you just want to goof around and try and find some shot shapes and all that good stuff. But for the hype it's getting, and a lot of that has to do with I think Big Joseph over there on another round because he can sling them, man. These discs are almost unusable, but it is fun to throw. But it's not gonna. I don't think it should really make anybody's bag.
That's what I was gonna say. I don't think that you can bring it out to the course. It's fun to toss around, but if you're trying to play for real and do well in the disc golf.
Sure.
It's not very consistent. It's not a very consistent disc, and it's just
no. Now I do we have a glow Rollo. That is much more workable. It's a little bit more overstable, so it's definitely not as flippy. That one's the one I just showed you was 146 gram. That thing, I put it on that much hyzer in Colorado.
Yeah.
And it flipped all the way over and rolled. It was pretty nuts. So that's my number 1. Number 2, I'm going to go with the Buzz OS. The reason I'm saying, everybody knows what this disc is, and most people can pretty much guess why it was overhyped, and that's just because it's got the big dark horse on it. It's not a bad disc. Is it overhyped? Yes. Why? Because there are numerous discs that you can get. I'm going to have one in my underhyped that will pretty much do the same thing for you. Super overstable disc that you can put on Annie, flex it out around trees, things like that. I'm not a big fan of this only because of the depth of it. When you're buying a disc like this, especially these Tour Series discs, and paying $30 per disc ish, depending on where you go, just to get something with the dark horse stamp on it, who I love, I think you're buying into the hype, and that's why I got on here.
All right,
fair enough.
Fair.
All right, my next one's kind of a cheat. I cheated a little bit here, so it's not really the disc. It's really any disc that's got a Huck Labs stamp on it. So basically, you're about quadrupling or more the price of a disc just by getting this little stamp on it. I do like them. I think it's pretty cool flying through the air. But this disc, which is I think an Insanity, which would cost you probably about $17-18. With this little stamp on, it's going to cost you about $60, $70. You're paying for the hype. You're paying for the Huck stamp, and that's literally it. The disc doesn't do anything different. Doesn't fly better. It just looks cooler.
They're pretty sick, though.
Yeah, it is sick stamp.
Cool. I think they're cool.
But it's overhyped. It's way overhyped.
Yeah, it's overhyped.
All right, this next one's going to get people mad at me. Probably the next 2 are going to get people mad at me. So this one here is a Bonanza stamp, but it's a glitch. I cannot stand the glitch, and that's probably because I do not like lids, period, and it's got that kind of lid feel to it, just with the overmold on it. They stick to my hand on release. I'm always kind of grip blocking. They're flying off.
Yeah, they're all crazy.
They're super light. Now, if you want to go out and just have like a game of catch, cool. I can see that. But justifying that this is a good disc to have in your bag for, you know, straight shots or approach shots, things like that, there are a lot of other discs that are going to do that, and you're going to be able to use them in different ways that you can't use as glitch. So, hey, all the glitch throwers out there, more power to you.
All right.
And then the last,
glitch lovers coming at you.
Yeah, they're going to come at me. They're probably going to come at me for this one too.
A lot of them right now.
So my last one that I have is, I don't have it, the Simon time lapse. That is one of my. That might be right now just because, you know, it's new, so probably new bias or whatever. But it is definitely one of the most overhyped discs this year. You look at if you go out and you throw the disc, which we both have, it is a, I don't know, Halo Destroyer. It is a beefy destroyer. And it's the same disc that is literally in every single manufacturer's lineup.
Yep.
Just doesn't have Simon on it. I love Simon. It's he's great, but I mean that's literally what you're paying for. Is you're paying for you're buying it either to support Simon or just because you're a Simon fanboy. That's really about it.
I get it.
Good disc, yeah, which he gets. He is both. Good disc, just way overhyped. That's all. That's what I got.
Yeah, it's overhyped. It's overhyped. All right. Now I guess I'll go into my overhyped. All right. So my five overhyped discs here. I share some overhyped discs with you. So I'll just like fly through those ones. The first one though that I have, I think some people are gonna understand, some people are gonna like start crying, is the Buzz. I think the Buzz is number one overhyped. There's just so many other discs like it. You say there's every other manufacturer has a destroyer in their lineup. They also have like a Buzz, like a straight mid. You have the Barry, you have the Arrowhead, Mako. You have the MD1. There's so many straight mids out there. M4. I would argue M4 is better than the Buzz, but that's just me. My next one on my overhyped is Destroyer. I have Destroyer also. Oof. Did you put Destroyer?
No.
Oh, I have Destroyer for overhyped because there are just so many inconsistencies within Destroyers. Some runs are like really flippy, and some runs are like more overstable than Firebirds. And also, it's another one of those where all the other manufacturers also have like a disc in that slot. 12, 5, negative 1, 3. They all have one of those. And then my next one is going to be the time lapse. Basically the same reason, and also basically like what you said is that it's all because of Simon hype, pretty much.
Yeah.
Number 4, I also have the glitch. Pretty much same reasons. There's not a reason to throw that disc when there's so many other putters, because it's just like a straight, slow, like low speed putter.
Lid, yeah.
So you can take any other putter and put it on like a different angle and throw it not as hard and get the same distance out of it, or even the same flight. You can put like a slightly overstable putter on a little bit ante, throw it less hard, and get it to go straight. And you know, same flight as the glitch. The last one I have, you're gonna get mad at this one. The last one I have on here is over the 5th overhyped disc is a Zone, because it's another one of those where all the manufacturers have one. You got the Pig, you got the Harp. What else you got? You got the Pig, the Harp, and then also there's they're real beefy. I've been throwing not as overstable putters recently. You put them on a little hyzer, they get the same job done. Or you roll the Zone flat at the basket, or you put like a less overstable putter on a little bit of hyzer. People swear by the Zone. They're like, there's nothing like the Zone. There's not an approach that's like the Zone. But I would say that there's
right.
like no way that it's that much better than the Pig, that much better than the Harp.
Down a Toro, whatever else, I don't even know. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Toro. Yeah, Toro's another one, Enva. You disagree, huh?
Oh, yeah. So, I don't disagree. This is all your opinion.
No, I know.
I'm not going to disagree. It's all his. So, the reason I didn't put, like, Destroyer or Buzz or Zone on there is now you're messing with some OGs. You're messing with the guys, like the discs that, like, although there are many like it, they're the ones that almost, we'll take the Zone for example, which is just, that's the, out of all of them, that's the one for me that was shocking that you had on the list.
Yeah.
Is that disc, there's a reason why 75 to 80% of disc golfers have that disc in their bag. and there's a reason. I've tried all the equals to the Zone, and none of them are the same. None of them have the exact same flight. None of them are so far as consistent off the shelf. Off the shelf into my bag, I can get that same consistency each and every time. If I want a little bit beefier, I'll get a Z. If I want something that's going to beat into straight and then dump out, I'll get the ESP. Now, I'm sure there's other people who are diehards for other manufacturers can sit there and do the same thing, but there's a reason that disc and the Buzz are consistently year in and year out on the top, like probably 1 to 50 discs that are bought. You can say that you might be able to say they're overhyped if they like had been out for like a year or two and they're just still going through the roof, but now you're talking years and they are still number one, if not number two, in those slots out of all manufacturers, probably by discs sold. That's my call. The Destroyer, I'm shocked at that. I'm sure you're gonna get a lot of hate for that one, but I don't bag one. I don't throw one. I'm a noodle arm guy, so I can't really talk about that one. But I'm sure you're gonna have that kind of same case. From the Innova and Destroyer lovers.
Yeah. Well, you also brought up that you're saying like their OG, like the Destroyer is like an OG mold.
Yeah. Well, I would say Destroyer out of all those three, Destroyer is the OG mode for that disc, and everything after it was a copycat.
Yeah. My argument for that one is that like I drive like a Nissan Versa, but if you saw me like going down the road in like a Ford, like the first Ford ever made, like the big Fords, like back in the day, like the first manufactured car. Okay. That's like an OG, but like if you saw me riding down that saying that's like the best car ever, you'd be like, what the heck? It's the most original car ever. Like you probably have the most original car on the road, but
yeah, maybe. But the difference
just because it's old doesn't
the difference
mean
in between those comparisons is you have a 1960s car that tops out at about 40 miles an hour versus your Nissan Versa, which only tops out probably like 70.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. But like I don't think like there's a lot of inconsistencies with Destroyers.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just know they are beloved.
Yeah, they're good molds, But you also like when you have DD3s, you have time lapse, which is also, like I said, overhyped. But there's just so many. Every manufacturer has that mold.
That's true.
That's why it was on my list.
There you go.
Anyway,
and that's your list, and nobody can take that away from you.
Right. That's my list.
That's my list.
Now let's get a little more positive. Let's talk about our overhyped discs.
Underhyped.
I'll go a little more positive here. Let's talk about our underhyped discs. Our top 5 underhyped discs.
Underhyped. All right, these are the discs that I feel. This isn't like, doesn't have to be ones that came out in 2023. We've only been playing for about 3 years or so, so I'm sure there are plenty of discs out there that we haven't even thrown yet, but these are the ones that I have that I just don't hear enough about or see enough people throwing. My first one, I went with the Crave. If you watched our little mystery box video that we did, you'll see that I love the Crave. If you've never thrown the Crave, think of like an FD. It is, you take this disc, you put it on a little hyzer, and it flips up the flat and just rides straight with just minimal fade at the end. You can throw it flat, maybe get a little bit. If you throw it flat and you put some torque on it, you're going to get it to flip a little bit. But if you put a little bit of hyzer on it, it's going to flip up the flat, go straight, or you're going to get a little bit of turn, and it's just going to fall to the ground. I love this disc. This is one of the first discs I picked up, besides the starter pack I got to start playing disc golf, and it's stayed in my bag the entire time for all 3 years. I haven't had any other disc do that, and there's a reason for it. It's just a phenomenal disc. If you've never tried it,
give the Crave a shot. I got to give the Crave more of a shot.
Give a Crave a shot.
I don't have more input on the Crave.
My next, what is that?
Underhyped.
Underhyped, there you go. Thank you. Underhyped is the Justice. Okay, so I had the overhyped, I had the Zonius, the Zone OS. So underhyped, I got the Justice. So if you want something that's just a hair faster, way cheaper, and for me has a lot better hand feel. It's got kind of that little sharper edge on it, if you can see, and it's not as deep. This is the disc for you. Just as beefy. if not more, depending on what plastic you get it in. Phenomenal disc, super overstable, can shape shots with it, forehand and backhand. Love it. And I think it's probably, I think you can get these this particular one for like 15, 16 bucks.
Yeah, I would say they're definitely faster too.
They're definitely faster. So that in itself, you know, it just gives you a little bit more options and what you can do with the disc.
Yeah.
So, and I don't see a lot of people talking about it. I don't see a lot of people using them. So
I am.
Yeah, he is now, thanks to the bag battle.
Yeah.
All right, my next one is the Prodigy M4.
Wow.
Everybody knows Buzz. Everybody knows Makos. Everybody knows Hex. And I know the M4 has been around for a hot minute. I just don't hear anybody talking about the M4. And the first time I threw one of these was the starter set showdown we did with when we had Prodigy on there, and there was a base model M4 in there, and not even like the best, I think, base plastic, a little bit lighter. And I'm telling you what, this thing flies just as good, if not better, than any Buzz I have. And either of the Hexes I have. Because, I mean, when you look at this type of disc, it's going to do, it is supposed to do, is advertised to do, the exact same thing as those two discs. This disc is, again, compared to those, is way better price point and does the exact same thing. And for me, it has been more consistent than either one of those, and has lasted. I think this is in the 400 plastic, and this is just in the 400 plastic, and I've been using it quite often, not beat in, still doing the same thing. So if you haven't tried one of these out, give it a shot. The Prodigy M4.
That one surprises me. That's new to your bag.
That is new to my bag. New to my bag.
All right, I already made the list.
Yeah, I made the list.
It's a good disc.
All right, next one.
If you want one of your own, check out ProdigyDisc.com and use my code Owen for 50% off.
There you go. Next one I got is the Royal Rage 2. So basically, if you're not familiar with the Royal Rage, it is a Instinct. The only difference is it comes in this vapor plastic. That is what set it apart. This disc, everybody has their 7502 discs. You know, your T-Birds and whatnots. But in this vapor plastic, the hand feel, the grip, it doesn't have that. It's not slick. It kind of grips to your hand, this type of plastic. And it starts off almost as a kind of like a T-Bird, and then it just beats into a straight flyer with minimal fade at the end. So if you haven't tried one of these are harder to find. That's the only reason I almost hesitated to put it on my list. But if you can get your hands on one, and it's, again, not one that I hear people talking about. Maybe it was talked about a lot back in the day. I don't know how long these have been around. I know the Royal Rage, original Royal Rage, are hard to come by, and they're very expensive. But give these a look, especially if you're trying to find something to take that like little fairway, that neutral to overstable slot in your fairway driver. Give us one a look.
All right.
All right. Last but not least, this is the only one I have, but it says a factory second. But this is the James Conrad Detour. This is pretty new disc. If you're not familiar with it, it's a little understable mid. So if you haven't thrown one of these yet, comparably, I would say it's pretty close to a Meteor. I would say. Not ridiculously flippy. If you throw it flat, it just kind of holds the line, fades right. If you put it on hyzer, it's just dead flipping straight. So if you're looking for something like that, and the hand feel for like the Meteor and the other like kind of flippy mid-ranges, slightly flippy mid-ranges aren't your thing, give this one a shot. And I put it on this list because I know it's rather new, but I haven't heard many people talking about it besides, a couple different creators did a video about it, but I haven't heard very much hype on this disc at all. And this disc is awesome. Give it a shot.
Yeah, you were hyping it up in the Gyrapalooza video, and I haven't been. I saw one other video about it.
Yeah,
like on YouTube.
Yep.
But yeah, I haven't heard much about it.
Them's my boys.
All right, my underrated discs here.
There you go, underhyped disc, baby.
Yeah, underhyped. Sorry, my underhyped discs here. My number one disc is the Berg.
Oof.
I feel like this is going to be another debatable one.
That is definitely not underhyped. Go ahead.
I would say that there's a group. I would say it's not even big anymore. I would say there's a small group of people that are like the Berg is the best. There was a point I would say where everyone was like, "Oh, this disc is like the newest thing," and then people started throwing it, and they're like, And then there was that group of people who were like, that were still like, oh, this is the best disc of all time. And then everyone else was trashing on them. They're like, no, that disc sucks. That's why I'm saying I think it's underhyped.
Okay.
Because it has so many people bashing it all the time. But I do think that it would have a slot. Like, I do think it does have a slot in your bag. Like, if you're the guy that just like wants to throw like as hard as you can and like doesn't want to like learn how to control it, you know what I mean? Like, you just like want to go out after work and have some fun. Like, you don't want a disc that's gonna go real, like, maybe you like do throw really hard, but you're like, I want to throw 150, but I want to be able to throw it as hard as I can.
Yeah, I want to go.
maybe
Anybody who's into those full power 150-foot shots, that disc is for you.
Well, some people don't want to work on their game. You know, they don't have time.
That's true. That's true.
You know. So that's my number one, and that's my reasoning, and I think it's a good reason.
There you go.
I think it's a good reason.
And that's your reason.
My number 2 underrated here is the Firefly, the Innova Firefly. This is one that I don't personally have myself, but I have thrown a Firefly, and it's basically the reason it's on my list is because it's a P2. It's the same exact mold as a P2. Innova made P2s. Innova makes the Firefly. It's a glow disc. It's I think now it's Nate Sexton's. One of Nate Sexton's discs. It's the Firefly. It's molded exactly after the P2. I put P2s. I love P2s. Micah, if you're watching this, I've used one of his Fireflies before. It puts and feels just like a P2. So if you like P2s and you don't want to pay for a P2, check out Fireflies. And also, I know sometimes P2s are a little bit hard to find, so check out Fireflies.
Nice. That's a good one, I think.
Number 3 is a new addition to my bag, the Butter. We picked it up when we were in Colorado also, and I was throwing around as a throwing putter. The name is what the disc is. It's pretty butter. You put it on hyzer, and it holds the hyzer. You put on Annie, it holds the Annie line. It pretty much held every line I put it on, and it went exactly where I wanted to go. I just had a lot of confidence.
Yeah,
which is weird. We only picked out like 4 discs, and then I was I liked the putter a lot.
Yeah, you were slinging it really well.
Yeah. And yeah, I can get a lot of distance out of it.
Got a lot of
for
putters
a putter. I do. I've been throwing a lot more putters.
Underrated.
Yeah, underrated.
Underhyped putters.
This one I think was on your list, the Instinct.
Yeah, Royal Rage. Yeah,
that was on your underhype. Yeah, the Royal. Yeah, so mine is an Instinct because I would say most people are gonna for this slot they're gonna go T-Bird like right off the bat because I would say that like if the Destroyer is like the distance driver, like the distance driver disc golf, and like the Buzz is like the mid-range driver disc golf, I would say that like the T-Bird is like the fairway driver of disc golf. Yeah, so that's why I'm saying I think the Instinct is underhyped because I do think it's like people throw their FD2s or their T-Birds, but I think the Instinct is just as good, and I think the Instinct could be. I think it's thrown farther. I've thrown it farther than some of my FD2s and some of my T-Birds.
Oh yeah.
So,
I like Instincts a lot.
Yeah, underrated, and I would say it's not thrown as much as FD2s or as T-Birds.
Gotta try the Royal Rage. That's what you gotta try.
Royal Rage, though, yeah, and that plastic.
You gotta try it.
It's nice. You gotta try it. If you can find one,
yeah,
go for it. My last underrated disc is. Dang, I don't even know if this should be on my list now that I'm looking at it.
Underhyped.
Yeah, underhyped. But
maybe.
I'm gonna say it. Okay, I'm gonna say it. I remember why I put it on here.
All right.
Is an FD. People are gonna be like, oh, FD is a great mold. Everybody knows FD is a great mold, but that's one where I don't think there's a disc. There's one where I don't think there's a disc like that. I don't think there's a straighter, more maybe more controllable. I don't think there's like you release it flat, it's going straight and just hanging straight for like a long period of time. I don't think you have a straighter disc than an FD. Because you said your Crave, you can put it on a little bit of hyzer and like have it go straight. Like yeah, you can get a straight shot out of that, but like if you're releasing flat and just throwing it straight, the FD I would say just goes like dead straight. I don't think there's another disc like that.
I'd say with the
you get as much distance with it as the FD
because they got the S lines, right? Those are the new ones that came out.
Yeah.
So the S line one for me did flip. It flipped to the right. Now what is the other ones? What's the
C line?
C line. Okay, sorry. I don't know all the time.
Yeah.
But C line, I would agree that is just a straight shooter.
I think it depends what kind of what run you get. If you get a good or bad disc, I have like a old Innova G Star one.
Sure.
So you can't really get those anymore. So I got an old Innova G Line one, and that one's pretty straight. I like that one a lot. That one's staying in my bag until I lose it. So
there you go.
All right, guys. But that was our top 5 underhyped and overhyped discs. Up to date. not of 2024, 2023. It's up to date. Well, if you guys like this style of video or at the desk kind of just discussing stuff and not really playing, let us know topics to talk about, because, you know, this isn't too tough to sit here and give our 2 cents.
No, definitely, especially when we're having like terrible weather this week like we're having. I mean, we having, I think yesterday it was like 40 mile an hour winds, 50 mile an hour winds. It's been brutal.
Yeah.
So, and lots of rain. So if you guys enjoy this type of stuff and like this kind of content that he's pumping out, this setting, that's awesome, because at least we have that to fall back on. And if you guys like it,
yeah, because it's kind of hard to film these disc golf videos when I don't want to look bad, but like it's kind of like whenever you throw and you're playing disc golf in like 20 miles an hour wind every single time, it's tough to pull together like a great round. So
especially when you're changing discs every
yeah,
video.
That too. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.